Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So now we're going to talk about two things that are very important with arrays, and that is pass by value and pass by reference. So when you create an array, you say the type, so int and square bracket, open bracket, square bracket, close bracket, and then the name, and then you say equal either the initializer list, which was the curly bracket, and a list of numbers and another curly bracket and then semicolon, or you say equals new and then the type and open bracket, square bracket, close square bracket with the length inside it. So now what we're going to do is refer to that. So if we have, for instance, a method and we know that we can put in parameters into that method, so we have the method name, let's say I'm going to call a method with for instance modify array, and it's going to be a void, so it won't return anything. So void modify array, and then open round bracket, and then int with open square bracket, close square bracket, and the name of the array. Now when you're passing an array argument to a method, you specify the array without the brackets. That's very important. So if you have an array called array and you want to pass it through a method called modify array, then you just have modify array, open round bracket, the name of the array, and close round bracket, semicolon. So we're going to do an example with that. It's important then to remember that the array, when you define the method, that it refers to the same array object as the caller. So it has to be the same type, obviously, same as always, same type. And then when an argument to a method is an entire array or an individual array element of a reference type, that sends a copy of that reference to the method. However, when an argument to a method is an individual array element of a primitive type, the called method receives a copy of the element's value. That's your pass by reference and pass by value, okay, which we'll talk about more in the following rest of this video. So I'm going to pause the video now and then write out the program and then explain it. Okay, see you in a minute. Hello again. So I've written out some of the program and I will talk through this first. So I have created an array of type int, and the name of the array is called array, and its initializer list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the elements, and it goes from 0 index or subscript 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's just an output then for effects of passing reference to an entire array, new line. The values of the original array are new line, and then we have our enhanced for statement. So obviously the enhanced for statement, if you need to use the counter, you cannot use the enhanced for statement. It is just used to access the values in the array, and it also has to be consistent. The types need to be consistent, so int value and then array, and then it just outputs the values of the array. So that's it for the minute. I will pause it again, write out the rest, and we'll talk through the rest. Okay, see you in a minute. Hello again. So we're going to go through the next part of the program, which I've written out. So we have here a fairly simple program. It is an int array, and here's the name of the array. So this is the type, and we know that it's an array with an initializer list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Index is 0 to 4. Then we have our printout, which we already discussed. Then we have our enhanced for, which basically I want to say spits out the values, but all it does is take the values and assign it to a value, and then shows it on the screen. So then we call a method called modify array, and we make a reference to the name of the array. And this, if we go down here, it shows here that it's modify array and it has to match integer type. The array up here is also integer, so it has to be the same, obviously. And the name, I've just called it array. We can call it modify array or whatever you want, because when it's called, obviously you're passing through something in it and you put something in the thing, and then it's like plugging something into a formula in mathematics. You have x and y, and then you say 2 is now x and y is now whatever. So this is how you can kind of think of it that way. It might be easier to think of it as putting it into a formula. So we have modify array here, and we have a for with counter controlled loop. We do not use the enhanced for loop because we need to access the counter and modify the things within it. That's one of the things that I spoke about in the enhanced. For video, which is really important to know, that you only use the enhanced for to obtain the values. You do not use it to modify the values. So here we have a copy of, so we have the for loop here, int counter 0, and then counter is less than array length because it would be out of bounds otherwise, the array index out of bounds, if it was less than or equal to. And then we have our counter. So then we just multiply it by 2. So here is modify array, and we also print out the values of the modify array R. So once it's called, we print it out. So we will show this on the screen now, and then you can see that will be the first thing after it prints out here. So the values of the modify array R. So it just multiplies everything by 2. 2 by 1, 2 2s are 4, 3 by 2, 4 by 2, 5 by 2. Okay, so effects of array element value array 3 before modify element, which is the next section. So we have our output modified array elements here, and we have another enhanced for, which basically shows the values. So we have array, and then it just shows the values of the array. So if I click on that again, maybe make a new line here so we can read it better. And then it only shows the, remember we said when we want to define an array, you say int, whatever the square, open square bracket, close bracket, the name of the array is equal to. And then if you're not using the initializer list, if you want to use the new and you know the length already and you want to assign them later, then you say equals new and then int and then open bracket, square bracket, and then like the number of the length. So but that actually, open bracket, square bracket is how you access the elements as well. So but here's the modified, and then this is the effect of array element value array 3 before modify element. So it's 8. So you can see here 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is our third. Okay, now it shows it on the screen. And now if we go to modify element, which is our next method that we've called, and we access 8 again, and we say we pass it through here to this element and we multiply it by 2 and then we put it out on the screen. So if I show that here, oh, not that one, that one, then it should be 16. Yeah, great. So, and then array 3 then after modify element is going to be back to 8, because we know from the stack frame that it's going to return to the main control, and it's going to basically it's destroyed afterwards. So we have here a method modify element multiplies the value received as an argument by 2, stores the result in its perimeter element, then outputs the value of element, and then since the parameters are like local variables, they cease to exist when the method is returned. When they're declared and completes the execution. So the method parameter then element is destroyed when modify element is terminated. So that's why when it goes back, it'll just be back to 8. Okay, so I think that's fairly clear. Because we know last in first out, we know the stack frame, or the activation record it's called as well, and we know that it has a return address. We know that the local variables go away when because the memory is just reserved for local variables in the method stack frame, and then the stack frame exists as long as the method is active, and then a certain amount of memory stores activation records on the method called stack and then returns. So more method calls occur than there are activation records, then it's the method called stack has a fatal error, and it's called a stack overflow, which we know from a earlier video that we did, and that's the infinite recursion as well error. So we have here the fact that it goes back again is causing a problem because it assigns it to 16 and then goes back again to return control to it. Okay, so that's it. I'll post it up on GitHub again, and obviously I'll add in more comments and stuff as I'm going through it. And thanks for watching. So if you have any feedback, send it to learncomputers@ali@gmail.com. and I think this is the 50th video in the beginner series, so we're almost coming towards the end of it. And I hope you'll stay tuned for the intermediate, and I'll also be hopefully posting up a course with this soon, so you can add in some exercises and feedback and things like that as well. Okay, thanks for watching.